Circle February 12th on your calendars because it's all going down.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, the number one sports podcast network out there. Thank you all very much, especially my everydayers, for helping make that the case. Steven Willis of Locked On Ole Miss is here. Roman Tomashoff of Locked On Huskies will be here because Damon Williams, he did not say the right thing recently. And Penn State's schedule. I got a bold take that really isn't that bold on Penn State. This episode brought to you by our friends at Mazda. They put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. And Steven Willis, there is more to come on the Trinidad Chambliss front. His NCAA waiver denied. I don't know if you saw my take on it yesterday, but the statement released by Ole Miss Athletics had the Charles Barkley post-game translator app function of, screw you, we're doing this anyway, you suck, you're a bleep. Like that's how it kind of came off to me. Is that the mood in Ole Miss right now of, you know what, NCAA, you guys are the worst.
You know, Ole Miss has a history of kind of being the NCAA's whipping boy in their selective enforcement. Like what other schools just get a slap on the wrist for, Ole Miss gets like a 2-year bowl ban for. So the fan base is kind of rallying behind Trinidad with, hey, we're going to get our pound of flesh NCAA. And then the Trinidad stuff with him being potentially the best quarterback in college football and a Heisman favorite and all that, that's just bonus. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, Spencer. I've seen about 3 episodes of Law and Order. I'm pretty ready for what's going to come.
Yeah, my decision to not go to law school I've never regretted it until now. So in as plain spoken English for the rest of us non-legal experts such as yourself, as I imagine you have become, Steven, explain to us the nature of what is going to happen on February 12th.
Well, February 12th will be a temporary injunction hearing that would allow Trinidad Chambliss to be eligible, essentially. And they also are trying to fight for a permanent injunction so that their NCAA cannot retroactively enforce anything if they happen to win the case as well. The important thing for everybody to realize, this isn't the same eligibility type case that the basketball player at Alabama or Joey Aguiar is going through right now. This is not like, hey, playing at this level doesn't count. That's not what's going on at all. Trinidad Chambliss is just applying for a medical redshirt for a 6th year of eligibility, something that has been done in the NCAA for the last 50 years. As the statement read, Ole Miss expected this to be handled with a rubber stamp like everything else. And for some reason, and I have a theory about why, this got drug out, and this became the line in the sand. My theory, Spencer, the NCAA wants to lose the Joey Aguiar thing. They want to lose the Alabama thing. They want to lose the Trinidad Chambliss thing and have 3 major losses on eligibility so they can go to Congress and say, hey, we need help. This is untenable. We are ungovernable if this goes on. And Trinidad Chambliss being the most high-profile case could get politicians' attention enough to where they actually do something about it.
Okay, I'm processing right now. It's in the brain. It's making its way down to I mean, the brain is technically the only place it matters. But I think first glance reaction for me, it's tinfoil hat conspiracy. But then you think about it for a moment. I don't think that's insane. Because this has been discussed that the courts rule against the NCAA consistently because they don't have an antitrust exemption. And so there are a lot of different legal minutia. I'm not going to pretend to know them all, but basically they rule that a lot of the things that folks want to do to restrict players' movement or ability to make money is anti-competitive. And you can't do that if you don't have an antitrust exemption. Do you think it could get there? Like from what you followed this even closer than I have. Do you think it could actually get there? Because I understand people's opposition to wanting to have the government, be involved in college sports in a major way. But I don't know who else, if the NCAA is toothless, is going to have any enforcement power.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing because I think the NCAA, they desperately need Congress to act. I do not think Congress is going to act because they have other stuff on their plate at the moment. So it's going to take time and it'll be out of the news cycle well before then. But it's like I said on a post on social media earlier today, college sports are always going to be around. The NCAA is not. And we might be at the point where the death throes of the NCAA is actually happening before our eyes. And we just have to figure out what the next step's going to be.
Is February 12th the day where we find out whether Trinidad Chambliss is Ole Miss's quarterback in 2026?
I think February 12th is the day where a preliminary injunction gets passed. And if that happens, it's just like the Joey Aguiar thing with the temporary restraining order. The difference in that is it's the preliminary injunction lasts all the way until the trial starts. So if the trial starts after the season, that's all that would be needed. So if he gets that preliminary injunction, likely that is the case.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me the injunction could be granted that puts it in a holding pattern until the trial date, which could push after the season, and they could rule after the season you are not eligible to play after he's completed playing?
Mm-hmm. That's what we're dealing with. That's not likely. That's the reason they're trying to get a permanent injunction as well, by the way. That's part of it. They're trying to get a preliminary and a permanent. I don't think they're going to rule on February 12th on the permanent.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the drama will just continue and continue and continue. But I'm just thinking about the hilarious possibilities here where he goes through the entire season. It's ruled that he wasn't eligible. And then what? Does Ole Miss forfeit the games? What would happen at that point?
If it wasn't for the blanket waiver with Diego Pavia last year, it would have been the same situation. He played the whole season under a temporary injunction. It would have looked exactly the same. The NCAA just put a blanket waiver after that got ruled. So that allowed all the other floodgates to open up. And I do not think the NCAA is going to do that again because of what happened a year ago. The weird thing for them is this being the case that they drew a line in the sand over. Because it literally, if Trinidad Chambliss was still at Ferris State, it would have been a rubber stamp 6th year. And in 2024, when Ferris State was playing in the national championship, everybody can go on YouTube and watch that game against Valdosta State in the 4th quarter. They're talking about the medical redshirt during that broadcast before he transferred to Ole Miss. The fact that this is a D2 to D1 and having different standards of record keeping and bureaucracy is what makes this ridiculous. And whenever it originally got declined, they said, hey, Ferris State's not helping, and all that came out. That wasn't true. The fact of the matter is, after it came out, they got 91 pages of medical records sent to the NCAA, and no weight was put on the doctor's opinion of what's going on. It's just people looking at it and disregarding and moving on to whatever goal that they have. That is the reason this is at the stage it's in. It is absolutely nuts. I do want to say it's not a Diego Pavia situation, but it's nuts.
How is this the world? Last thing for you, Steven. What is Deuce Knight thinking right now?
Deuce Knight, little known fact, he knows the situation. He knows the score. He is preparing as if he is going to play until it's official. He's throwing, he's doing all the stuff that quarterbacks are doing, but he's expecting that Trinidad Chambliss will take the first snap in 2026 for Ole Miss. Everybody in Oxford is operating like Trinidad Chambliss is going to be the quarterback. And Deuce Knight is no different. He's going to learn under Trinidad is the plan, how he plays the game quarterback-wise, and he is going to try and put those elite athletic gifts that he has to work for Ole Miss in 2027. That is the plan. Now, it could always go sideways, I guess, but that is the plan.
All right, Steven Willis of Locked On Ole Miss. Same time next week?
Yeah, exactly.
Same time next week. In the industry, they'd call that an advanced tease of what is to come content-wise. So prepare yourselves for that. In the short term, though, prepare yourselves for more football-adjacent talk because Damon Williams is not doing this right.